Welcome to Reality is Undefeated. I'm at Gatewood. Thank you for tuning in. Summertime, man. Get them kids out the house. When I say get the kids out the house, I don't mean, sit them outside to go play at the park, to go swim in the pool, to go to the movies, to go to the skating rink. All of that stuff is nice, but all of that can be done at any given weekend of the summer, right? It can be done every day if the means is there, right? What I mean by get them out the house is get them up and out the neighborhood. Get them out there to see something they've never seen before, to do something they've never done before, to eat something they've never eaten before, to experience something they have never experienced before. Because that's how they're going to grow. That's how they're going to grow because, getting them out their neighborhood and seeing something they've never seen before is going to make their mind wander on what else is out there. What else haven't I seen? We all know how important travel is. Every day you go on Instagram and you see one of your Instagram, people that you follow, you see them in a different country. They zip lining. They swimming with the dolphins. They kicking their feet up at this resort and that resort. They're petting this exotic animal and that exotic animal, right? They're having a great time, seeing a different part of the world, learning a different culture, tasting that culture, breathing that different air, tasting the air. That what they say, taste the air, Craig? Tasting the air. We know how important travel is. It broadens your perspective. It makes you understand things you could have never understood had you stayed in your particular area of the world. And these kids need to be given that, especially these kids that come from these inner city neighborhoods. They need to get outside the neighborhood. Even if all you could afford is the same old hot dogs, the same old, hot dogs that you're going to put on Wonder Bread, not even hot dog buns. You're just going to put on bread. Pack those dogs up and go grill those dogs on a park across town. Yeah, one of them fancier parks with the new playgrounds. If you're going out to eat, it's a special night. Don't go to the same, Golden Corral or whatever your local little buffet is. Go across town, experience something different. If you normally eat pizza, go get some Greek food. If you normally eat tacos, go get you some African food. Go try you some goat. Go eat you a gyro. Try that Mediterranean shit. Try something different. National parks. Take advantage of those. Each national park is very unique as far as what you are going to see. My favorite national park is Yosemite. I love coming into Yosemite from, the side I come in from. You go through the Mammoth Lakes and all of that, and you drop down into that valley. You drop down and you see Half Dome and El Capitan and Yosemite Falls and Bright Vale Falls. And obviously, because of a career that I had earlier in my life, I've been to a ton of national parks. When you step up to the edge of that Grand Canyon, I promise you your perspective on life is going to change. Your perspective on how big you are on this earth is going to change immediately. Not immediately. Fuck that. What Bernie say, immediately. It's going to change. Guess what? National parks are cheap. There's many different ways you can get into national parks for free. If somebody in your family is a veteran, bring them along. They get their park pass for free. Get the whole vehicle in. And even if it's not free, it's still cheaper than a lot of other things. If you live within 4 or 5 hours of a beach, get your kids to the beach. That's free. Let them walk in the sand and look out there on that vast ocean. Let them wonder what's out there. Point and say, yeah, if you go this way straight, you're going to run into China. If you go that way, you're going to run into Russia. Over there, you're going to run into Japan or, Australia. Point. Let them know those things exist. We got to get these kids out of these neighborhoods. Otherwise, the neighborhood is going to swallow them up. See, if they don't know the rest of the world exists the way it does, then all they're going to focus on is being the top person in the neighborhood. And once they reach that top person in the neighborhood, which ain't hard to reach, what else is there to strive for at that point? My first trip out of Las Vegas came when I was 14 years old. I flew for a week to Atlanta, Georgia. Got an uncle that lives in Roswell. I just lived there for 30-something years now, right? And when I got there, the very first thing that I seen, and the very first thing that hit me as a kid who grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, was the amount of trees that were around. I'd never seen so many trees in my life. Man, I don't know how many of y'all been to Vegas, but it's not a lot of trees. It's a lot more now, being that, the area is more populated. And so, naturally, when it's more population, you bring in more trees to plant in front of these homes that you're trying to sell. The second thing that I noticed about Atlanta was how many black people was there. I never seen black professionals, black police officers like that, black airport workers everywhere. The whole city was just black everything. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada. We 13% of the population. Our population mirrors the country's, right? As far as what percentage we are as black people here. That was just fresh off the plane, the trees and the black people. Then I got, to my uncle's house, saw how big homes could be. Cause damn. One thing I had never seen before was a home where the backyards was woods. You didn't even have no gate back there separating your property from the other property. It was just land, woods, right? That kind of tripped me out. Then they had me going to this day camp at this community center in Roswell, right? We went river rafting one day. Something I never even aspired to do. I mean, Vegas, we close to a river, but, it's just not really something that, is on our list of things to do, right? So I'm river rafting in Chattahoochee, having the time of my life, not even knowing that I would have the time of my life. I'm afraid to even get on the raft. I don't know what's in that water. But I'm on that thing, river rafting, get out that, enjoying myself. We going on scavenger hunts around the city, riding in the back of a limo. Something as a kid who grew up in Vegas, even in a city full of limos, I never thought that I would ride in the back of one. Right? That trip changed everything. I went to my first Major League Baseball game at Turner Field on that trip. First time I picked up a shrimp and ate one that was cold. Shrimp cocktail, I didn't even know what that was at that time. I'm 14 years old. And fireworks going off in my head because I'm getting all kind of ideas. I'm learning so much at this time, right? Next time I went out of town from Vegas, I was 16. I took a Greyhound from Las Vegas, Nevada to Newark, New Jersey. because I was born in Newark. And all my father's family lived out there. My father's out there, right? I go to Newark for the summer. Or at least that's what I plan to do. Go to Newark for the summer. I take a 3-day Greyhound trip. Man, finish getting through the desert in Nevada. We climb into the mountains in Utah. Go through the mountains in Colorado. Shit, gorgeous. Although it was kind of scary. Because every time I looked out the window, I'm just seeing, just hundreds of feet for that bus to go over that edge and fall over, But it's gorgeous. Looking out the window, seeing the Colorado River carved through these mountains. From Denver, we head east, and then we get into Nebraska. And the only thing I remember about Nebraska, and it's the only time I've been there, is when I was 16. Was that nothing changed. It was just cornfields for hours. There was no change in elevation or anything like that. It's like once we got to the part that's flat with cornfields, that's all it was. That's all it was, right? Now, the next few parts of this is a blur, right? I remember Chicago. This is what I remember about Chicago when I was 16. And I've been to Chicago a number of times, and I have yet to see this in Chicago. So, people from Chicago, y'all can let me know why this is. But I remember leaving Chicago on the Greyhound and looking out the window and seeing nothing but it just seems like it went forever. Just project building after project building after project building after project building. And it seemed like it did that for like 10, 11, 12 blocks. But I've been to Chicago twice and I haven't seen it. So I'm assuming those project buildings was torn down. But y'all just let me know. All right. But that's what I remember about Chicago at 16. Pulling to Cleveland. Don't really remember anything about Cleveland other than the fact that they didn't have any batteries there. This is the whole, Sony Discman era, right? You ain't got no batteries for your Discman and you on a 3-day bus trip. Yeah, right. I pull into New York City, right? Obviously very close to Newark, New Jersey. It's the morning time. I'm very hungry. I go out of what is that called? Port Authority, right? And I look around and I see a Burger King. And I go up to the Burger King, but for some reason, the Burger King was closed. This is about 6 o'clock in the morning. The Burger King was closed for some reason. Okay, the Burger King is closed. I only had 30 minutes before this bus to Newark takes off. Let me go back to Port Authority. Get on this bus. When I say I got lost, I got lost and didn't know where the fuck I was at. Luckily I didn't ask anyone, and because people are there's so many people and they're just moving, they're moving like cars move, like just tunnel vision, like it was crazy to me. I got lucky and stumbled back upon Port Authority, and I got even luckier to be the last person to get on that bus before the bus took off to Newark. You see what I'm saying? But it tripped me out. New York City tripped me out because every building is tall as hell. It certainly at this time, it's like every building was taller than any building in Vegas, right? I always say this about Vegas growing up here. You could drop me from a plane. I parachute and land anywhere, blindfold, right? When I land, take the parachute off, I'm going to know exactly where I am in the city because I'll look up and I can see where the stratosphere is at. And I can see the mountains, the mountain shapes to know, okay, this is the Sheep Mountains or these are the Spring Mountains or whatever. And that's the stratosphere. So I know I'm on the west side. I know I'm on the southeast. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. You can't do that in New York, I really don't understand how people navigate New York. It's just tall building after tall building. You just look up and all you can see is a row of tall buildings. And that's as far as your vision is expanded, right? So then I get to Newark, New Jersey. Get off at Penn Station, and my cousin Tyzik waiting for me there, right? He waiting for me on a bike. I jump on the back of his bike or whatever, and we ride to to his crib projects, right? Ironbound section. Shout out Newark, right? This is Riverview Court, okay? Just so people in Newark know where I'm at this point. And the culture is so different than Vegas, right? For one thing I'll say about the West Coast over the East Coast, the West Coast is extremely clean compared to the East Coast, right? The dirtiest part of the West Coast is probably cleaner than the cleanest part of the East Coast, right? Just old, dirty buildings, cracked sidewalks, just beat up streets, all of that's on the East Coast, right? But as far as culture, I remember, this is the summer of 2001 I'm talking about. I remember listening to music over that summer and then getting back to Vegas at the end of the summer, going into the fall, and that music had just gotten to Las Vegas, just started being played on the radio, and I was listening to that music in beginning of July. You see what I'm saying? Like, the mixtape culture was insane. I didn't even know that, mixtapes existed like that. I didn't even know that that's what you did on the East Coast. On the West Coast, we just bought albums. They went and bought mixtapes, and got everything. Like the shit that was really popping that summer was that Jay-Z, H to the Izzo, and that Jadakiss, that we gonna make it, fuck the frail shit. Man, when I heard them tracks in Jersey, my goodness. And I was there in Jersey, at the time that I heard them tracks, right? But obviously I come from a different part of the country, so it was things I put them on to too. I remember when and this ain't my part of the country where these guys are from, but I remember putting my cousin Tyzik onto Field Mob, right? That Ashy the Classy album, right? Tripping him out, listening to them brothers from down south, spit like that. But the West Coast and down south, we have like the same kind of I don't even know how to say it. It's not the same culture, completely different cultures, right? But it's like our cultures are aligned with each other, right? The way we dress, the way we wear our hair, things like that are very similar and have been during those times, right? So I remember putting them on to a lot of things. I remember going to hoop and just getting destroyed on the basketball court, But everybody on the basketball court seemed like they was like 6'3", 6'4", or taller, right? And that really tripped me out because just calling it what it is, man, if you grew up playing ball in Las Vegas, you could be a 6'4" senior. You're a center on your basketball team. It's that simple, man. You gotta get your ass off that perimeter. You are a center in Vegas, man. We did have, a number of guys who grew to be 6'8", 6'10", things like that. But for the most part, man, your center on our teams was like 6'4", 6'5", right? It's just so different, man. Everything, going to the corner store, the little Chinese spot to get your food, your fried chicken and shit like that. On the West Coast, we got hood spots that just, serve chicken fingers, chicken, wings, all of that type of shit, chili cheese fries, all that hood shit. You see what I'm saying? All that hood shit that we allowed, these other groups to grow businesses off of, like Raising Cane's, where they now get on commercials talking about some yo, here's your chicken to go. That fucking commercial just bothers me to my core. But we allowed that, right? We allowed that. Yeah, like I say, man, getting out of Las Vegas, getting out the hood, right? Getting off of this outside of this perimeter, that consisted of Cheyenne, Payco, Civic Center in Gowan, getting outside of that, right, did so much for me. The next thing that did so much for me is when I got my first job. My first job was on the Las Vegas Strip at this place called the Excalibur. And it was the first environment that I've ever been in on a consistent basis that necessarily wasn't hood, right? Just a bunch of teenagers. We down there working at the Midway, but we all from different parts of the city. Some of us coming from different neighborhoods, you know, some people coming from the good parts and all of that. You had black, white, Asian, Hispanic, you know, met a chick from Costa Rica that worked with us. You know, Las Vegas has, you know, a good amount of, you know, Ethiopians and a lot of people from Eritrea. Like, you know, so you had a lot of Ethiopians and Eritreans down there working with us. It's just a bunch of different cultures down there selling these, you know, arcade games and all of that, you know. But it was the first time where on a consistent basis, I didn't necessarily have to be hard, right? I didn't have to worry about fighting all the time or anything like that. You see what I'm saying? So that experience did a lot for me, right? So when I look back on where I come from, the people I grew up with, and why I'm one of the successful ones, I credit those experiences of being outside of the neighborhood as to why that is. Because had I not been outside the neighborhood, you know, hey, I already got videos on my page telling y'all where I'm from, who I grew up with, you know, some of the things that, you know, my friends have done and things like that. You see what I'm saying? There's no need to revisit that. I just really wanted to get on here and tell y'all, man, get these kids out the neighborhoods, give them that gift of learning about different cultures, seeing different things, you know, different perspectives, broadening their horizon, you know, especially, you know, I mean, come on, man. I don't want to shame y'all parents, but it's a lot of y'all talking this passport stuff and traveling all the time, and them kids don't go nowhere. You see what I'm saying? Man, if you taking a trip to Colombia or Brazil or, you know, Costa Rica or Panama or, you know, Thailand or Ghana or Nigeria, or you going to Paris or London, them kids got to at least get to Disneyland, man. Them kids got to get at least get to Six Flags. You see what I'm saying? Make sure you give your kids the gift of getting about their neighborhood. Like I say, a lot of the stuff is cheap. Parks are free. You know, national parks are cheap. Beaches are free. Going to the mountains is free. You know, in a lot of areas, go to your, you know, closest lake. Let them go fishing. Let them skip rocks on the lake. Let them go swimming, tubing. Go to your rivers. Do the same exact thing. Go on hikes. There's so many things you can do to get your kids out of their everyday environment and just, you know, give them a teaspoon of what they brains need for them to grow into being productive humans on this earth. All right. Anyway, I'm rambling now.